Okay, I hear recording in progress, so we'll go ahead and call this to order. And I want to see if we have a volunteer for an opening prayer.
We just look at each other.
Thank you.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we just want to thank you for the blessing that is today, for those that we're doing this work with, and for those in our community. We want to especially lift up those who are hurting and dealing with loss. And Lord, today we just ask that you give us wisdom as we look at our agenda and that we proceed through these matters with the thought and diligence. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Yes, thought and diligence. We don't want a 4-hour meeting today. Attendance, please.
Teresa Wall McDonald,
Here.
Jay Henderson,
Present.
Doug Please,
Here.
Clayton Matt,
Here.
Roger Noble,
Here.
Ted Pitt,
Here. All right. We have attendance. We have quorum. So as always, for those in the audience, those who are in the audience online, meeting minutes are on the DNRC and CSKT website. All right. Before we move to adopt the agenda, so is I see Melissa is on, and I want to just chat about something real quick here. Melissa is on. Is Arnie on? Arnie, good.
I don't see our new way on.
Okay, well, let me give this to the board then. How this is more of a timing thing. Want to discuss briefly the idea about our engagement, engineer's office engagement in the database with the state, and the possible scheduling of a work session later this month for the board to get briefed on that and work through that with Ethan. Arnie is not on. I know Melissa is going to be on for the duration of the meeting. So I thought we could either discuss it now and schedule a meeting now, and then if Arnie had to leave, we could leave, or wait till the end of the meeting when Ethan gives his report. And I see a hand up. Yeah.
I'm available to answer questions on behalf of DNRC or pass them on. If I can't answer them, pass them on.
Okay, so I see, since we're.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. This is
Yes.
Maya from DNRC. I was able to just speak with Arnie and he will be able to jump on the meeting as well briefly to discuss this.
Okay, well, I'm either gonna talk about it now or wait till the end of the meeting.
He is jumping on right now. He's logging onto his computer, so it will probably be
Okay.
in the next 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay, all right,
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
all right, thank you. So we'll wait 30 seconds to get Arnie on. Ethan, yes.
Mr. Chair, we could do something else in the meantime that's on the same line. We could just mix them around, but I did want the chair and the board members to notice that we have a new line there along the adopt the agenda section. And this is as was verbally requested and ultimately embedded into your bylaws about disclosure of any potential conflicts of interest. Maybe that's a discussion topic that would provide you a little
Okay, while we're waiting, I think the point is that we want to verbally disclose whether anyone has any on the board, any board members has any conflict of interest or not. So it's the first time we've done this. I think we just want to go down and let everybody indicate whether you feel like you have a conflict of interest or not. So Ken.
Are you talking like case specific conflict of interest or just general conflict of interest?
With anything on the agenda?
Oh, no.
Roger?
No, that
Georgia?
Nope.
Teresa?
Nope.
Okay, and neither do I, so, all right, Arnie.
And you'll have to allow him to talk. Yep.
Hear me.
Hi, Arnie.
Chairman, members of the board, hello.
Hi, so, I was assuming, without knowing that if you were on, you would want to, you would be on primarily to talk about the possible scheduling of a work session for the database and, that we would briefly indicate the status of our involvement. So, and then I think, I didn't know if you were planning to stay the whole meeting or not.
However I can help, happy to if that's needed or desired.
Okay,
So-
you're on, and Melissa's here, so, very briefly, the database was something that we had been hoping that the state would have done. We're trying to engage in that now. I understand that the board at a previous regular meeting that I did not attend, you had some discussion on that. So we're trying to get to where the board through Ethan's office, through the engineer's office, engages with the state and the tribe together. And so very briefly, Ethan, understand that you have identified someone who can work with them.
Mr. Chairman, board members, Arnie, Ayla. Yes, so we are working on developing a little bit more of a written out plan in specific response to the charter, the draft charter that we presented at the last meeting, after the last meeting. I do have an employee that talked to that will be a good fit to have as our lead, our office's lead, to interact about this database project. I am still working through very preliminarily in the planning for this and trying to determine exactly how much of that staff member's time that we can commit to this. And we will offer those details first to the board for their consideration and direction if needed, and then more formally if that's what the board would like to see.
And I'm assuming then between now and any work session we have on this at the end of the month, that if the state and tribe need to have any meetings on the database, you'll have someone that can engage.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that is true. And if that person isn't available, I'll make myself available.
Okay. So secondly, thank you. So secondly, then there was some discussion about a possible work session, and Roger, did you want to mention that?
Well, yeah, I guess in my communications with Arnie and DNRC and Ethan to some degree, that it seems we had that presentation a couple meetings ago and a couple people were absent. So we thought maybe it'd be worth having a short special meeting just to reiterate that or review that and get everybody. And if it was in about 2 weeks, that way everybody would have time to review the charter, would have time to review some of the memorandums and schedules and whatnot. So I was gonna propose that we amend the agenda item number 14 to, and I was just gonna throw out a date. It seems, from what I understand, that the contractor under DNRC is respec, and they have kind of a window of opportunity to get this rolling. So in my conversation with Clayton and Ethan, that I don't know, sounded like the end of the month, the 26th would be available. They are available for a meeting. I don't know if that would fit with anybody else or everybody else's schedule, but I guess I'm open to other dates too.
So April 26th
April 26th.
works for me.
It doesn't work for me. The Tuesdays and Thursdays do.
And I'm unavailable on Thursday, that was the 27th.
26.
Okay. Well,
Number 25th.
does the 25th work for any,
Works for me.
Works for me, works for me.
it could work for me. Yes, so for scheduling purposes, while you're talking about modifying the agenda for a special board meeting, are you talking about adding that date or eliminating the May 4th date?
I found it, my conversations with Ethan, adding this date because the date on the 4th is for different items or different topics.
All right, so April 25th, I think without any action, I think we'll move forward with the idea of a working session on the April 25th.
Okay,
And before you say anything else, Ethan, I know you're gonna want to add things, but what I would propose is that we agree that this will be to talk about the database. If you want to add anything else, give it to us in writing as a proposed agenda, and let us look at that ahead of time. And propose some time frame, because I think the last work session went 4 hours, whatever it was. I don't think we want to do that again, not anytime soon, at least. So is that fair?
Mr. Chairman, that is very fair.
Okay, very good. So, thank you. So Arnie, anything else you want to add to that right now?
No, happy to hear this, getting attention and look forward to collaborating on it. So, sounds good from our perspective.
All right, Melissa, anything you want to add to that right now?
No, I will just coordinate with the tribe's representative to the database work group, who's Amanda Spencer, and make sure she's available for that as well.
And if you have meetings before that work session, we've got someone who can engage. All right, very good. Let's move on. Any other discussion or changes to the agenda? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda. Motion to approve the agenda
Just as modified.
as modified.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Second by Roger. All in favor, say aye. Okay, we have an agenda. Public comment for items not on the agenda. Anybody in the physical audience here have any comments? If you do, please step to the podium. Seeing none, anybody online?
If anyone online would like to make a public comment, raise your hand and I'll allow you to speak. Not seeing any comment online.
Do we have anyone online?
We do.
How many?
Besides staff members, just one.
Okay, all right, not seeing any, so we'll move on. There'll be another public comment section during the agenda. So, item number 3, board business, board chair, it says board chair, but updates to board compensation. So Ethan, I'm assuming that's actually you. I'm not sure what we're doing there. I didn't have anything in the packet on that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, assuming that you don't have any other board business, I will give you a brief update on board compensation. I have now received all of the paperwork needed to move you all to direct deposit. Starting in April, for all of your meetings that occurred in the month of April is when you will start to supply my office, Christy and me, just write an email to both of us. That includes your spreadsheet with your April expenses on it. And then we will appropriately route those through either the chair or the vice chair, depending on who needs to approve them, and then to payroll. You will not receive a check. You will only see a direct deposit unless you need to make some kind of modifications. I do have two board members who had some outstanding previous compensation requests, and we will make sure that those get arranged. We are expecting one check for Roger Noble and one check for Teresa Wall McDonald. Otherwise, I believe maybe years, we resubmitted one for Kenneth Pitt as well. So we have three that were in the process of for the last iteration of check issuances. Those will go through, then we'll move everybody over to your spreadsheets, which I will mention that should you pass your bylaws and fiscal policy, that will leave you with 10 days upon the end of the month for which you have to submit your information. Of course, if you wait until the 10th day, we will take time on our side to finish the processing. So the longer that you wait, the longer to submit, the longer you'll also wait before you receive the direct deposits.
Questions? Yes.
So Ethan, I was playing around a little bit with that new spreadsheet, and I couldn't get a couple of the drop down menus to populate.
Okay.
So you might want to
Gotta do some tweaking. I expected that might happen.
It's like the third column over where you put in your meeting, but then it's supposed to populate the rate, but it doesn't. And then there was a couple others. I'll give you.
Excellent. I appreciate that feedback and apologies. And sometimes, you know, when you go live with a new product made from scratch, you would expect a little bit of iterative and much appreciation, Roger, for looking at that now instead of at the end of April.
Thanks for piloting that, Roger.
Beta testing, board member, no.
I'm assuming then if there has to be a fix that you'll send out a updated spreadsheet for the rest of the board.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, anything else on that one?
Not for me.
Okay, any other questions from the board on the work compensation process? All right. All right, here we go. Board bylaws. Open for discussion. We had a good work session on that, whatever day it was, and I got to meet you all through Zoom, and but that seemed to work, and hopefully that worked for all of you. So, and I did a quick read, Ethan, of it, and it looks like all the changes that were suggested were made. Are there at this moment any items in this current final draft that you'd like to point out?
Mr. Chairman, board members, we did not ever get any language from legal counsel on representation of board members during suit. And so that will be something that will have to later be added into.
What section is that? Article section?
I'm going to have to read real quick. Article 10, I believe it is, Mr. Chairman. Additionally, Mr. Chairman, board members, in this section, I expect that once your water engineer has access to all the financial information needed for creating a budget, that we will actually move forward with a very tangible form of insurance for board members. And at that time, I would expect, I will suggest to the board that in direct relation to what we achieve for insurance to board members, that will probably require some modification of this section. And again, your bylaws are designed to be eligible for modification as needed.
So the section you're waiting for input on from legal is
Article 10, section, there was another section to be added about representation board members by legal counsel.
So while it's not in here, it's not even listed here yet at this.
That is correct. And I don't think we need a placeholder. I have a placeholder and we will take action eventually when we've got those other pieces in place.
So, my thought was to actually create a placeholder and put it in there as a reserve section, but that's up to the board if you want to do that or not. Comments,
could we create the placeholder?
the header,
That's what I would.
and so it'd be suggesting it would be like 10.3 and then title it. Any other comments? One comment. Are we in agreement with that?
I totally agree with it.
Yeah, we
10.3.
would like to see that with a title and just indicate reserve.
Mr. Chairman, board members, I am happy to make that happen for you, that it will be in reserve. And
What do you title it?
legal counsel provisions for board members. Does that sound okay?
Enough for now. And we call it reserve. Is there any other section you need to point out right now?
Mr. Chairman, board members, I do not have any other sections that need to be pointed out at this time. Obviously, when we convert this from draft to final, there are some changes in the header and the watermarks, and somebody will have to sign them. And those are, I think, all to be fairly expected. I do understand that your legal counsel did review this these set of bylaws for other content. And that I did not get any specific changes that were pointed out. Legal counsel did offer specific changes that we'll talk about to some of the resolutions. And we
But
can
on
get
the
to that.
bylaws were, so any other questions in the bylaws from the board members? And what are your wishes?
So, Mr. Chairman, are you intending to vote on the bylaws today?
I'm asking the board what it wants to do. I think we're prepared. I think we're in a position to vote and approve it if you're ready. If not, then we need to comment and send it back.
Well, I have a comment, but it's a minor stylistic point. It's not worth delaying the vote.
Go ahead and make your comment, please.
On section 8.3, first sentence, you call the board may not amend the ordinance. And second sentence says no amendment by the tribe or state of the law administration. So you're calling the same document, two different things in two sentences. It's harmless. Same thing. Yeah, or law administration or the other.
Mr. Chairman, board member Pitts, excuse me, I would be happy to make that change. And if you would like to incorporate these two modifications, I can absolutely do that there. Yep.
You're saying the two different things that are being called is either ordinance or law of administration, and we probably want to stick with ordinance, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that's in the definition section.
Okay,
Yes, sir. Yep.
all right,
Thank you for catching that.
okay. You can always go back and clean things up as we catch them, but any other comments by board members?
No.
Okay, so if pleasure of the board, if you'd like to improve it with the changes we discussed today. Take a motion, if not, we need to send it back. Have a comment from Kayla?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kayla Wait with Montana DNRC, and I have a question about Article 6, Section 6.2. And this relates to joint state tribal suggestions for the bylaws. And this section is definitely aligns with the suggestion that the state and the tribe jointly made, but it's missing one or two sideboards on that authority that could be granted to the water engineer, and specific, and so, you know, this paragraph the second paragraph here, grants, you know, broader authority to the water engineer to sign contracts. And then our suggestion followed that up with two caveats to, just provide some sideboards that we thought were helpful. And so our recommendation had both of those things together. And the recommendation was that regardless of whether the board approved an expense in the annual budget, specific board approval is required before the water engineer can enter into any contract that would extend more than 1 year, or any contract valued at more than, and then some particular amount of money that the board thought was appropriate. And so I just noticed that wasn't here, and Melissa and I were wondering, you know, what the office of engineer or the board, we were just wondering why that is, and if you could share some information with us about that.
Okay, Ethan, do you have a response?
Certainly, Mr. Chair, board members, Ayla. We do have a cap that is offered in resolution FRWMB 01 on monies that the water engineer is allowed to spend or contracts entered into without prior board approval. I don't think that section includes contracts in extension of 1 year. But it does have, I think, a $3,000 cap, which you have not approved, but is for you today.
Okay, the specific language that's being proposed or that was suggested, is that something you want to see and potentially add to this? Or would you like to approve it at this time with the understanding that the limits will be also set by a resolution? Comments, questions by the board?
And I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman and board members, I inadvertently forgot to tell you this other piece of information, which is that you did direct me to move that out of this section previously to the fiscal policy resolution. So that was
during the work session?
That was during the work session, and I apologize that I didn't regurgitate that immediately upon the ask here, but sometimes it's a minute for me to remember what all we done.
So that, yes, Teresa.
I like the addition for the sideboards that Kayla identified. And to me, I think we could add the multi-year contract limitation to the resolution that will come forward to us. Because then we would have that as a safeguard. Yeah.
But you're good with it being in the resolution? Okay. And you had indicated that it would be in the resolution.
We will be discussing the fiscal policy resolution that does have the water engineer spending authority in more detail. This section of the bylaws gives you the ability to delegate that. And then the fiscal policy specifies what you are actually delegating. That's the intent, at least.
Okay. Any other comments? For the board? Okay, so we're back to either sending it back for final drafting or approving with changes we've discussed.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to adopt the bylaws with the two changes we discussed.
Motion by Ken to adopt the bylaws with the two changes we discussed today. Second by Georgia, so we'll go word vote. So Ken?
Aye.
Roger?
Yes.
Georgia?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Approved with those changes. All right. Major step, guys. Thank you.
And can I say one more thing, Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
I really appreciate the work this group put into that work meeting that I was unable to attend, so thank you.
you're welcome, and thank you all. All right. Thank you. Ethan. Now we go to the item I skipped. Public comment on the bylaws. Let's go ahead and do that if anybody has any comment on the bylaws. My apologies once again, I tend to get ahead of myself.
If anyone online would like to make a public comment, go ahead and raise your hand and I can allow you to speak.
You're a living document, so anything drastic comes up, we can always make a change at the next meeting. So, any comments, anybody in the audience or anybody online audience?
Not seeing anybody online.
Okay, once again, my apologies, you're supposed to catch me on that. All right, guys, thank you. Item number 5, resolution 01. So we'll be starting the process of adopting resolutions once we adopt one. And so I don't know that we have, go ahead, Ethan, I don't know that we have a specific format. Maybe you can talk a bit about the resolution formatting and how we're doing this before we engage in a resolution, Ethan, but I think this is probably a good idea that we adopt resolutions for those items we're trying to emphasize. So, Ethan.
Mr. Chairman, board members, generally your bylaws do make provisions for resolution adoption and they follow comments that you have offered me. I did receive from board member Wall McDonald an example of a resolution. I stole some of that format, added a little of our own office's flair. The resolution formats generally track a number system that has a lowercase acronym for the board and a number. And then they have the intended benefit of having a name that explains what the resolution is about. There is also some memorandum style information in the header that the resolution I had as an example, and I thought we might just see how that worked out here. And so it does have a date of approval that's bright right there, and then a small purpose statement, presumably any resolution the board would make would have some sort of purpose that could be outlined. It is anticipated that resolutions in general would be something that the board could amend, and on that date of approval, you could see a second line of the date of amendment or multiple dates of amendment as is so needed. For instance, here on this fiscal policy 01, it would be understandable that after conducting business for some years, or perhaps even a shorter amount of time, if something goes a little awry, the board may need to circle back to policies and make amendments as needed. So like the living document characterization that Chairman offered about the bylaws, this would have some of the same. That said, I will also offer that yesterday afternoon it was, I did get specific line changes from your legal counsel. And so hopefully the printed comment or copies that you have here have got colorful track change recommendations. They are all, none of them are super substantive, but they were good comments that I would encourage the board to adopt as part of their things. If for some reason you're looking at your paper and it doesn't have the track changes, please do let me know. I'll make sure that I get that in your hand.
Mine does not.
Okay.
We're talking about 01, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I have one that does not have the
My
track.
apologies. All right, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, 01. Okay, with that, brief description about the sort of formatting, let me just talk about that for just a second. Any board comments or questions on the formatting? And I have one suggestion, but let me hear from the board. My question is, should the number include the year? I know we're gonna have a draft approved, but should we include the year? So it'd be 2003-01. That way we get into a new year, it'd be 2024 or whatever. Yeah. Does that, yeah, I'm seeing head nodding, yes, Ken? Good, yeah, it's like consensus, that'd be something that be good, so even if we approve it today, maybe we can make this change.
We certainly can, Mr. Chairman. I do have follow-up questions. If something has a year in the title and the board makes an amendment in a future year, does the number of the resolution retain the original year's original number year? You follow me?
Yeah, I think,
That was messy.
Teresa, go ahead.
Yeah, typically, if, just a couple of comments. I would assume that Caleb's suggestion about, multi-year contracts, would be included in this fiscal and procurement policy, that a multi-year contract requires board approval. The other thing, and I apologize, I've read this a couple of times, but typically, once a resolution is enacted, there's some sort of statement, it would go in all of the resolutions, something like the authority described herein remains until rescinded or modified. So you might already have that, but so the authority described herein remains until rescinded or modified. Then when you do modify, the resolution that modifies it always includes the original resolution number. So it's clear within the text of the new resolution, the old resolution that you are modifying.
And the new one gets a new number.
The new one gets a new
The
number.
language you're suggesting, would it be appropriate to put that under the certification bottom?
Yes, I believe it would.
And do you want her to repeat that language, and does the board agree with it?
Mr. Chairman, Board Member Walt McDonald, there is a resolution certification statement on the right above the signature line. And I do believe that the last sentence of that, which says this resolution will be hereby, whoops, there's a typo, will hereby serve to guide and govern the board and OE operations, that we could add until rescinded or modified.
Okay, Teresa, that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Georgia?
Yes.
Roger? Ken? Okay. All right, now, the substance then of this resolution. Go for it.
Real quick. This resolution is intended to provide spending authority, limits and oversight, accounting procedures, internal controls, fiscal policy for handling cash, checks and other deposits made to this office. And to provide transparency and financial accountability regarding board and office of the engineer funds. Specifically, and perhaps the most important thing that you'd be doing in here would be under the heading on the top of the second page, which is fiscal authorization granted to the water engineer by the board. And I do believe that board members should consider that. There's some important things in there, namely that you would be making your water engineer signatory on board accounts, allowing them to write checks, get accounting information, and otherwise control funds that go in and out of board, fiscal, accounts. We're done with there. Check writing, ability is offered in here, and, entering into, payments and contracts and agreement not exceeding $3,000 in total cost. There is not a statement in here about multi-year contracts entered into, but there could be. If you want to limit the water engineer to single-year contracts, that's an option. We can add that in here.
Is that the language that would be proposed?
I believe that it was, that board approval was necessary for any contract that exceeded 1 year. Board approval was necessary for multi-year.
Is that the language you were looking at? Yeah, okay. Can we add that language, Ethan?
We absolutely can. Yep. Any other language that you feel needs to be added?
Okay, board members, comments, questions?
Yes. On policies and procedures, throughout the document, you use shall, and will. In policy procedures, you kind of shift to reasonable, should, generally much more words are much more commanding, much less commanding, and offer a lot of discretion. And I'm kind of curious as to reason for that. And then the other thing I'd point out is that subsection 2 seems to contradict subsection 8.
And, okay, so,
I guess if there's a logistical reason why instead of shalls and thou shall to should, I just want curious what the reason is.
Let me ask a quick question for your response. So, there's a couple questions there. So Ken, when you say subsection 2 and subsection 8, are you talking about number 2?
Yeah.
Number 8 under the policy?
Well, policy procedures, so yeah. Page 3 or 4.
Mr. Chairman, Board Member Pitt, and if you don't mind helping me understand why 2 and 8 are in conflict. My apologies, just on the fly, and not saying that they are or not, but yeah.
The reason is 8 uses commandment will, and then number 2 uses commandment should.
So that goes back to your first comment about the language. So, the question is, do we want to replace should with will throughout policies and procedures? Is that correct?
Yes, unless there's a logistical reason for having it. Does the office engineer want the flexibility? And that's perfectly reasonable.
Definitely, things always draft better with others' help. And in this case, I think that the thinking was that on the efficient sourcing, the will was kind of allowable because it allows this modifier of with satisfactory terms and quality at the end. And so it's a will, but with a softening of with the satisfactory terms and quality being at the end. Whereas, item 2 is more of a should because sometimes timing and situations don't necessarily allow that items can be obtained at competitive pricing with appropriate quality. Sometimes there might be circumstances where time of the situation may require or should.
So
But we can also change this.
would it be, it's maybe a little more wordy, so if we change in that example, I am should to will, maybe adding specific language at the end that says unless other issues warrant and justify. And I'm reaching a little bit for that language, but see what I'm trying to say. Yes,
Chair, just a point of clarification on those two is, when I read purchasing, I'm assuming this maybe for equipment, office supplies, radars, and efficient sourcing is maybe higher, more costly contracts or something so beyond waivers. Am I interpreting that correctly?
I think that that's a fair interpretation, if not very well spelled out. But,
And so when I keep the should and will, that plays into it that, you know, you should buy low cost reasonable waivers. That's in my mind, it's a lower risk kind of thing, I guess. Saying that poorly, but where the efficient sourcing is more of a will because there's more context behind that. It's a bigger thing than just a pair of waivers. It's a contract, it's something that's a little more substantial, and that's why there's a will there. That's how I'm reading it.
Okay. May I make a suggestion? Yeah. On number 8, just put will, comma, to the extent practical.
so number 8, after will, should be comma to the extent practical, so that's Ken's suggestion. Board members okay with that? Nodding. Lisa? Thinking?
Well, I have a question within this resolution. And maybe I'm just not seeing it, and I apologize if I'm just not seeing it. But under what circumstance would you seek a bid? Are you on page 3?
Mr. Chairman, board members, we do not have a requirement to seek bids other than to look for the lowest cost possible, satisfactory terms, quality. We don't have like a procurement department or some larger arrangement where you'd have like kind of an organized purchasing, set of guidelines. We do, however, on any of the big purchases that we've made, we do look at multiple sources. We do seek that out. Frankly, I did write this in a streamlined fashion, given that we've got, 3 people. Yep.
Yes, follow up, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that we create a entire mechanism, but in the course of doing your diligence and demonstrating that you're being efficient and getting the best price possible. I mean, it's kind of like, well, I call Ace Hardware and this is so much, I call True Value and this is so much, or I know if I did it here, it's so much. That's all, just thinking about the diligence behind some of our purchases or acquisitions, but I'm not suggesting a big mechanism. I'm just suggesting that if there were a need, that we keep those, and those types of notes can be jotted on a piece of paper to demonstrate you are seeking the best.
And Mr. Chairman, board members, yeah, I mean, we did not write that type of documentation into purchases. And I understand the intent and the benefit. It does. We have a pretty lean operation here so far. So if we're gonna do do documents on the solicitation of other bids. I guess what I'd rather do is limit it to just including bids not accepted in the, in the final procurement file, which is really just the file where we put the vendor's name at the top and the contracts and please.
I'm thinking that, number one, I like this resolution. I like the work that's been put into it, and I like the intent of it. I would think that maybe the most expensive thing that we'll procure in the future might be our audit. So I don't know.
Well, that gets to another whole question about. In fact, I just had this discussion on Melissa's online. My understanding that the way we're set up is that the state and or tribe could audit the board financials at any time. The board itself does not have a specific audit requirement built in, but we probably should be considering that. And I would expect that maybe down the road, something like this, lowest cost possible, satisfactory terms and conditions, maybe adding something very simple like including a bid mechanism to document that process might be good. Now then it begins to beg the question, do we set a dollar limit? Do we say anything over a certain dollar limit requires a bid? And I don't know how far you want to go down that road. I'm in favor of doing that if that's what you want, but those are my thoughts. I'm just wondering out loud how far you want to go with that. Teresa?
Just follow. So, thinking about audit, which is it's referenced in the purpose on the front page. So when I think about an audit, I think about a quick request for a proposal and you seek bids from someone and you describe the financial records that would be included in an audit. I think maybe if we were to go to a figure, anything over 10,000, maybe we would get bid. I don't know.
Because at some point, I mean, I sort of interrupt, at some point, you talk about audit expense. We may need a vehicle.
Yes.
You know, that kind of thing down the road. There may end up being some other large expenses that we need, but any other comments?
Just keep in mind that the things that we're talking about here are things that will all need to get board approval before they're purchased. So you're talking about things greater than 10,000. You can just go ahead and talk about things greater than 3,000 because you have everything that's going to come that's bigger than $3,000. You can put your hands on that and you can guide each one of those selective processes the way that you so see fit at the time. You can put the architecture in here. But I will also tell you that, like when I worked for the state, or the feds, that we had a procurement department, and you would put a project out. They have a distribution network where bids then come in from all over, everywhere, and same with hiring. Whereas over where we're at, we're more on like, well, we'll post it in as many places as we can, but we don't have some larger, more robust infrastructure arrangement for which we can go to seek multiple bids. And also, generally, board members have encouraged us to seek local sources as a primary. And so now our scope, our pool, gets smaller. For minor purchases, like most of what we do with, without prior approval, like the lovely doorknob that you got to use coming into the, go to Home Depot, find a doorknob. I mean, it's not, we're not looking around for the cheapest doorknob. We're going to a place that we know has reasonable prices. And when we can,
and there's documentation so that even if we say, well, we want to see what you did on this, and if the board decides it wants to see what you did to buy that, then.
You got a line item of everything we bought. You can sit and look through it and wonder why our trash can cost what it cost, you know.
Teresa,
No, okay.
do we want to add any language though, at this point? To
That's
that
up to
item?
the board,
number eight?
I'm just
Yeah.
stressing.
Yeah, any other thoughts on adding language, possible bidding language on that item number 8? You've heard the comments, so yes or no, and,
I think I'd like to keep this resolution simple.
okay,
We have the inherent authority to look at anything over 3,000. I think that's enough.
and our intent is to be effective, efficient, and cost the, you know, to be to serve the public well.
Mhm.
So that's our intent, so, okay, given that, any other comments or suggestions, changes to this resolution? You see the red and blue markups in here. If we took action, I'm assuming that would mean we just accept what those are. Yes, Roger.
I guess I had a couple in addition to the red lines provided by Haley. I had a couple others that I was gonna throw out. I should have sent these to Ethan, but I wasn't near a scanner or anything, so I'll throw these out to you just for on the first page one, the bottom lower paragraph, I guess it's the third sentence that starts, while the state tries to provide funding, the board has the sole authority to determine how best to use the funds. I was gonna get rid of that whole determine how best to use it, either insert delegate or appropriate or something to that effect.
Okay, what specifically would you scratch and what specifically would you add?
Get rid of determine how best to use the, and just put in appropriate,
Should say allocate.
allocate, okay, fine. I figured that, it just seems so wordy.
Okay, everyone follow that? Okay,
Then I guess I always have this one little cheat sheet that I was given, and there's some words you generally don't use on number 5, page 2, any. And number 6, any necessary, I would delete those. Just scratch them. Page 3,
would you restate that number 5 on page 2?
I can do this.
Scratch any,
Scratch any, and just say.
and number
for
6,
allowable.
any necessary.
Yeah. Access financial documents.
Where's this at? I'm sorry,
I'll
On
give
page
it
2?
to you then.
Number 5,
I got that one.
and then page, number 6, it says any necessary.
Okay,
You're just suggesting scratch that.
Yeah, then under page 3, under policies and procedures, just for consistency. Number 1. It says December 31st, I just have December 31, comma, per annum.
December 31,
December
comma,
31 per annum. Let's see, and then, item on, annual reports on an annual basis. I thought maybe we should have a date there. On page 4, number 12, sorry.
Okay,
Is there a date you think, Ethan, that would be appropriate to submit or publish an annual report?
or a month.
January of the following year. You want something more specific, tighter than that?
Also by December 31st. On an annual basis by December 31st.
if the year runs to the 31st, you want to give them a little time after that to get to the court. Right, that's just the thought.
Okay, January 30th, 31st.
January 31, the following year.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, just, I guess tearing off of that, for the annual reports, do we need to stipulate two different dates, one to have it completed by, and then one to have it presented by? Is that helpful? Because sometimes you need a little time to review before you present. Maybe not, but I want to give you that leeway in case you need it, so.
Completed by January 31st and presented during the February board meeting.
That would work. It gives you month to catch any errors and double check or just check your own numbers, having done a few of those.
Well, so for instance, on annual reporting, if the December concludes and then you board members, as it's a time that it's hard to get a hold of people sometimes, wait 10 days to submit their I'm just giving an example, and I'm picking on you. You wait 10 days and then there's about a 5-day turnaround. So like pretty much all the information, I wouldn't even expect to have it dialed in or accounted for until the 15th of January. I generally think I can probably achieve the 31st, but and I think by the time I get around to getting a report done, I could probably simultaneously present it if needed, but it is a little tight for that reason. It gives me 15 days after one of the expenses. And some of our other building lags even farther behind.
Well, if we say completed by January 31st and presented to the board during the February regular meeting, is that adequate?
Yes.
We've got a holiday period there too. You have to work around in January, so I give yourself some extra time.
You mean we're letting them have a holiday?
I want to Ken's to the extent practicable in here.
There you go. Okay, we've got several comments by board members that we've added. We've got the other redlining and blue lining within the document. With all of those comments, are we ready to proceed with this resolution? If not, more comments, please.
I'll make a motion then to adopt resolution FRWMB 2023-01. And with the comments provided and revisions in the board meeting today.
Motion by Roger, second by Teresa. All in favor of approving our very first resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And aye, so we're good. You got it.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that. I do think you need to take public comment.
You gotta be faster than that. All right, let's get public comment on that. We took action, so any public comments online or in person here for resolution 01. 2023-01.
If anyone online would like to make a public comment, raise your hand. I'll allow you to speak.
Gotta be faster.
I think we're just excited to do it.
I'm seeing no public comment.
All right, apologies again, but thank you for that, heads up, and thank you. So,
I heard 5 yeses. Was that correct?
Yes.
correct.
Thank you.
We are on to, first of all, what time we got here? 2:05. Everybody doing okay? All right. Board resolution will end up being 2023-02. So. I'm gonna just say, I kind of get it, and I'm gonna just throw out, I'm not. Sure, I completely get it, why we need this, but let's have that discussion. So. Go ahead, Ethan.
Mr. Chairman, board members, this is something that was originally in your bylaws for your consideration. Board members told me they did not want this in the bylaws. They wanted to move this to a resolution.
Did we do that? All right,
And so, Mr.
You got it.
Chair, it has become a resolution. I haven't gotten a whole lot of specific comments on the decorum, but there were a few, and they have been incorporated. The track changes that you see do include information improvements from your legal counsel, and a few minor changes from me. This is your document, Mr. Chairman and board members.
okay. Comments, questions by the board?
I have a comment.
Ken,
I think this serves as a good guideline on how the board should operate and serves to notify the public what we expect of the public.
so. We don't want to say we will, as opposed to should.
No, this is definitely a should. To the expense correct.
Sorry, that just.
No, it's okay, but this
That's very good, thank you.
notice to the public, this is what we do, and this is what we expect you to do.
Yeah, very good. Very good, yeah, and it's. Very good. Any other comments, Roger?
Oh, Ken's been right on task today with my thoughts.
All right, you guys are in my meld. Georgia,
No, I agree. I can't help it. It makes me giggle a little bit. It's like, do we need to tell people this before they get on airplanes now? So, you know.
they signed this as they're boarding the plane.
Yeah, before you get on the plane, maybe you should read codes of conduct, but, no, I think it's fun.
Okay, Teresa.
I like it. I think it creates an expectation for business, for being professional while we're doing business. I don't think it's anything that we will revise very often, but, I like the fact that it would be number 2 is like, it's important. We're saying this is important to us in terms of how we conduct business.
Very good, Mr. Hendrick.
I agree. It's just a good, I guess, rule set by which we expect each other to respect.
Okay. Unless there are any other changes, we would be taking. Before I get ahead of myself again. Are there any other comments on this? Before I take public comment? All right, let's go to public comment on this. Any public comment on this, the quorum resolution?
Anyone online, raise your hand, I'll allow you to speak. Not seeing any online comments.
Going once. Going twice. All right, no public comment. Now we will take a motion if you're prepared to approve this resolution with the track changes that are included.
So Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve this protocol with track changes. Resolution.
Motion by Ken,
I'll second.
second by Georgia. All in favor, say aye. Aye, it's an aye. Any opposed? No opposed. All right. You guys are awesome. Moving right through this. Board resolution number 03. Also, Office of Engineer participation in retirement. So jump on in there, Ethan, because I think this is an interesting one. I'm not sure the whole board is familiar with this, but go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, board members, you have before you resolution number 3. Resolution number 3 builds on a preliminary agreement authorized by the chairman, which was necessary so that this morning, which I have not heard back about its progress through another board. That agreement could get approved by the state public employee retirement system board, which administers retirement funds for university and state affiliated government entities. And anyway, the retirement fund itself, the standard one offered to most state employees has two major options. There's a defined contribution plan that looks a lot like a 401k, and you get to choose from hand-picked investment options from, you know, the most safe to the most risky that are a package. There's another option called the defined benefit, which is more akin to a pension. For us, the defined benefit doesn't make as much sense, and after discussion with Office of the Engineer staff, we just really solicited an option for the defined contribution. If so allowed into the PERS defined contribution arrangement, there's no fee for joining. Investment options are guided by a state board, which gives us some oversight to the retirement arrangement. The options for how much an employee contributes and the employer matches is already consistent with what you see from other state agencies, so it seemed like a good defensible retirement option for us. It's all the accounting is done through Empower, and Empower accountants or staff that are offered for this retirement arrangement are fiduciaries, which is frankly better than a financial advisor because they have a higher level of training requirement and a requirement to look after the best interests of the account holder. So that all said, we did have a little timing challenge with this particular arrangement because the state board doesn't meet again until June. I wanted to see if we could get this moved along faster. So we came up with a good arrangement, myself working with the state PERS folks. We were able to have a two-part arrangement where chairman of the board could initiate contract A, which you see before you. And then that will be followed up with by resolution number 3, which was primarily written by the state folks for us, but I missed a few typos. Namely, because there's multiple boards, we needed to be more specific about which board we're referencing. I overlooked that and did not, so we got that modified. And the long and the short of it is that resolution number 3 gives an opportunity to participate in this state public employee retirement system, which is a much needed benefit for OE staff. It is also voluntary. So nobody on the OE staff is required to put any money forward into this option. The part that's not mandatory would be the employer match.
So my just jumping in here real quick before I take comments, I did sign it with the understanding that Ethan gave me the other day that we are not committed to this until the board takes action. This was a preliminary step that I took so that this could be brought to the public employees board with meeting today. If they don't approve it, it doesn't go anywhere anyway. If we don't approve it, it doesn't go anywhere. If we both approve it, then it moves forward. So I think probably we'll be a little bit of discussion here. So comments, questions, Teresa?
Yeah, just a question. What is what you refer to as the required employer match? What percent?
It's not 100% match to match, but I believe that if the employee and the percentages make small fluctuations, but if the employee puts up to, I think it was in the mid 7%, then the employer matches into the high 8% of the employee salary. And that is up to the maximum limits. That IRS sets for 457B, which is the type of account that this is.
Just a question, comment, I should say. If we make a contribution, I would prefer that it be called a contribution. If we're making a contribution and the employee is not putting anything in, it's technically not a match. So I would think that maybe it is a contribution.
I would assume
The arrangement-
we wouldn't be providing
There's,
any unless the employee does.
But I thought your beginning comments were that it's all voluntary, but we are required to put the employer's contribution, even if the employee doesn't. That's where.
if I gave that impression, my apologies. The only time that the employer makes a match is when the employee puts money in, and it's close to a percentage ratio, but there's a little higher percentage from the employer in the arrangement. All of that also goes into like the tax deferred type of status, and this is like a Roth.
With a maximum limit.
The maximum limit that's set at the IRS is 457B account levels. Yes.
So if I understand correctly, then the only time the water board would make a contribution is if the employee participates, and this is not a term of employment, it's voluntary.
Board member Walt McDonald, that is absolutely correct. Yes.
So
Further,
this
sorry.
document that I signed, we have it. I'm not. I want to ask this question. So if we took action and said yes today, we're not seeing any other document in front of us. Is there another kind of document or contract document or policy, I'll call it policy document, that we should see before we take action, or is this it? And if we take action and don't have it yet, how does that work if we've already taken action?
The additional information would be presented in the Montana Code annotated. There's some information about this retirement system available there. I can give the board additional information if they need it, but I kind of figured, since this is what the rest of a lot of the government offices are doing, that it would probably be good enough at this level.
It may be
And we can-
perfectly fine, but here's the follow-up. If we take action and say we agree, and then public employee board says they agree, how much lead time until this thing kicks in?
May 1st.
So we would have a very short period of time. For example, if we took action, got the additional information and said, gee, maybe we should reconsider or do something. I'm not suggesting we will, but I'm just trying to decide for ourselves if there's any leeway in there. So probably a good idea. So would the board like to see the additional information, Teresa?
Mr. Chairman, just a general comment. Having the opportunity to offer our employees retirement is so important. It is so important. It's employee retention, it's helping provide for the future. My general comment about what might be missing today, and I know we'll get there. I know Ethan's been working hard on it.
Yeah.
But is that I don't have a good roadmap or picture in my head about what our personnel benefits look like. And I will declare a preference in that, if you look at the state of Montana, excluding state of Montana employees, if you look there, then you might see that, you know, that a retirement contribution up to 8% is high. It's high. So I'm gonna use the tribes, for example, the maximum contribution they make is 6%. So, and Ethan, I'm speaking only as one board member, but so if we're gonna go on the high end with the retirement contribution up to 8%, then the rest of our personnel package, I would assume there'd be some leeway there, and some of our other benefits might be more conservative because we're erring on the high end on the retirement side. So what I'm thinking is missing is we just haven't seen yet that full mix of what our benefits look like. So maybe it's not 12 vacation days a year, maybe it's a lesser amount, maybe something else. Because an 8% contribution is pretty high.
And that's up to, doesn't mean it is 8%, correct?
That's correct. You got it. The employee has to put money in
Could be 1%.
first, and there's a maximum cap for individuals that is based on the IRS tax rate.
Okay.
And then just one additional question, back to employee retention and retirement program participation. I would hope that if this system allows employees to opt in January of every year, that we then continue to provide that opening for our employees to join. So if they didn't join on year one, I hope they would have a option to join on year two, starting then. Not that we go backwards in our contributions, but I would hope employees over time get the opportunity to join if they want to, because that's about, you know, accumulating assets and equity and wealth, and we want that for our employees.
The plan allows people to contribute when they want and stop contributing and start up again. The money that you put into 457B can be moved to other retirement options. Presently, I don't have any built-in investment period. So, for instance, the state does impose one of the longest vesting periods that I've ever seen, which is 5 years, but that's predicated more on their defined benefits arrangement than their defined contribution arrangement.
I think the tribe's 10. Tribe's 10 years fully vested.
Okay, and the tribes do they have a pension?
Or they use actually Empower.
Okay, but are they set up as like a pension arrangement?
Individual retirement. So we all individually go in, like I think you described, is my understanding for using Empower. Then there's sort of a menu of those choices that each employee has and can make about where its money went. And that's their individual plan. My understanding, that's the way it was when I was there.
I think this is a good move.
Probably
Line by Maya Rao, the NRC. She would like to speak.
yes. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, it was just mentioning the vesting period, but Ethan got to it before I could, so we're all good. I just wanted to mention that caveat for the state retirement is that it is 5 years to be vested.
For us, Roger.
No, I guess some of Teresa's comments I think are exact. I know in the private sector, the maximum match is 6% too. So 8% is very high. I'd never heard of that before. And in the ones I've been exposed to, usually the vesting period's on the order of about 7 years. So this one's pretty favorable to the employee for sure, highly favorable. So I guess I understand the need to move this along, but is this going to be through Empower then too? That's what the state uses, isn't it?
Yeah, so the account is managed by Empower. Empower is an option for, I mean, they manage they're the accountants that manage the income and the output, and the reporting and the education and so forth. And,
Well, I think
the difference in terms of the employer's cost here that I think you got to factor in is that there's no cost to participate in this plan. And so, I mean, I haven't sat down and done the dollars and cents, but in a lot of the other plans that I am aware of, the employer has to pay to become a participant in the plans, and certainly the ones that I looked at, and that was a substantial part of the arrangement for those retirement plans. That in this case, that expense, I like to think of as just sort of passed through, instead of that expense going towards the fund managers. It's a pass through to this slightly higher match, I guess, which I did not do a whole ton of comparisons on matches. I just try to pick something that is commonly used, that I thought would be easy.
Ethan, you suggested that any additional information is actually in the state code.
Well, they also do have an educational outreach person that I can get all sorts of information about the.
Well, I'm wondering if maybe just a thought. So what would an employee be given if they come in, you're an employee, say, all right, here's the plan. Here's what you have to review. Is that something that the board would be interested in seeing, that what an employee might see? I'm reaching here a little bit because I just want to make sure that if we approve this, that we haven't missed out on seeing something else we should actually have in front of us before we take action. Or at least before it kicks in.
There is documentation on what the funds look like and so forth that come in pamphlets. Additionally, the way that this program likes to work is that you can just set up a discussion with one of the folks at Empower, and they will come here actually to the office, maybe over the internet, Zoom or something like that, and then provide training about the option to the employees or board members if needed.
Board members, where you at with this? Freeman.
I think that, even in particular, as our first hire has been very patient with us as we've been trying to figure out what sort of personnel benefits, we're going to offer. And just to reiterate, the tribes match is 6%, 10 years the best. You get back what you put in. I am comfortable moving forward with this for retirement. But on the other hand, then, depending on average benefit costs as a package for an employee, maybe that means that then we can't contribute as much as we want to healthcare. So, I mean, it's got to be reasonable. It's got to be reasonable and comparable to other employers. That's all.
Okay, well, even given that, we need to decide if we're going to move forward with this or make any changes to what's being proposed here. Georgia.
I don't know who said this, I'm quoting someone can fact check me, but one of the most powerful forces on the planet is that of compounding interest. So I like that it's generous, and I think at 8%, if a person had maximum match, that gives them a nice benefit. Such that even if we did have to cut back, like you said, on healthcare, I think getting this additional fund would really, over the long term, more than compensate. So it's a huge perk, and I like it. So I'm very comfortable with this.
Is there, I mean, to be consistent, I guess, can you change the 8% to 6% maximum match? I mean, that's an internal policy thing, it seems like. And then we could be more consistent with healthcare benefits and go that way.
I can see what options are available. I mean, I know that the vestment period was something that we could set, but that was only if we made the determination to go with the defined contribution as opposed to defined benefit.
So if we punt, for lack of a better word, and wait to get more information, are we risking anything for employees?
Mr. Chairman, board members, it's not a good look. I'll be honest. There's people working in a building that doesn't have air conditioning. They do a pretty good job. They're waiting for a healthcare plan where most other employers that are out there available have one. There's been a fair amount of patience. That's my candid statement about it. Obviously, this retirement plan benefits me as one of your employees. I think you got to acknowledge that, my discussion about it is, I do have a conflict in that your actions on this item do directly benefit me as your employee. And I'm not beating around the bush about it. I think we all already knew that going into it, but for me, I found that there was a lot of different retirement programs that were out there. A lot of them had minimal oversight, which made me nervous. I'm not a retirement expert. So whenever I'm usually not an expert on something and I need to achieve it, I'm going to cheat and follow what a lot of other people are doing. And in this case, you get a lot of benefits to the PERS, like the oversight of a board. You get fiduciaries through Empower. Empower is known by a lot of folks to do a pretty good job. And you do get a package that's known to be something distributed to a lot of state employees. Now, state employees also get a much lower per diem rate. We did just adopt an update to the state per diem rate, which still pales in comparison to federal rate, right? So it's a mixed bag of benefits that you'll see, and our current personnel policies they have adopted the state rates, which is what I had said, we should all use the same rate for per diem and mileage and such. So we've got that kind of consistency, but yeah, if you want, it's up to the board. If they want to wait or move forward. You can always withdraw from a retirement plan.
So that wasn't really what I was asking.
Yes, sir.
Thank you anyway. What I was asking is, if we don't move right now, is there a risk to the employees that they're not going to be able to get this?
Yes, Teresa. So once the public employees board takes action, we're in a position to accept that or not accept it, correct?
That's correct, and that would be the other document that you have. And whether or not they put a timeline on it, like I didn't go to that board meeting today.
Yeah,
So
no.
I don't know if they have
No, understood.
I didn't even know if they passed it, actually.
I think we just trying to get flavor, not hold your feet to the fire on their decisions, but just trying to understand. Teresa.
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I don't hear any outright objection, but it's good discussion, but would you like additional, we're already looking at another special meeting, which doesn't mean You know, it's normally designed to provide discussion, so if we stuck with regular meetings, we'd be looking at putting this off until the May meeting. So I don't think even if we did put it off, we'd be looking at putting it off any further than that. And I'm not suggesting we do, but that would be where we'd be if you don't approve it today.
Well, Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment? Apparently, correct me if I'm wrong, the additional information is in the Montana Code annotated.
Yep.
Okay, and since it's in the Montana Code annotated, I can get that in 5 minutes, you know. I'm suggesting the board move forward today.
Okay, and it sounds to me like we don't have a precise time frame, but probably by the end of the month, this thing will kick in, so we have just a very short period of time if the board decided it wanted to have further discussion on this, which doesn't mean we don't take action today, but if we took action today, it still wouldn't kick in until April. I mean, May.
And the documentation has all got May 1st picked as the contract start date, so if we don't meet that, presumably, you know, this would have to go back to PERS to change the contract start date, which I think they don't meet again until June.
Okay, okay.
And sorry for not understanding what your original question was, but.
Well, I appreciate your answer.
Okay.
It's okay. All right. Roger, I see wheels turning.
No, I pretty much in agreement. I guess I come back to the one thing, I would be in favor of this if the maximum match would be 6%, because to me, the more important thing is healthcare. And I don't want to cut anybody's healthcare short. And I want to be consistent with holidays. So that's my only.
Where does it say 6%?
Well,
Is it in this document?
It is not.
Ethan told us it's
Okay.
8%.
I mean, where does it say 8%? So, is,
And I got that from the plan, educational outreach person, so I have not explored if there's alternatives to that, and I can't. But
so it would complicate how we do this today, but, you know, so if we did that, we would say our preference would be to go maximum 6%, but if it's not allowable, then we would have to go to the person. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would at least give us some way of moving that forward, so. More discussion? And just someone, yeah, perfect.
Just a question, I don't speak accounting, so just full disclosure. But you made an important point, and I think it bears mentioning, this plan as presented is administered by a fiduciary. And I think earlier you had indicated that, please correct me if I've got this wrong, but they do not take a cut, correct? As other plans that get administered, the employees don't see the full benefit of the percentage compound interest they're making every month because the person administering the account takes a cut, correct? But if it's administered by a fiduciary, that's not the case, is that?
so there are plan management fees that are passed on to the employee. Although they are acting as a fiduciary, those plan management fees are still allowable. And so they have a higher level of expectation than a financial advisor. There is still plan administration fees passed on to the employees. The fees that are not occurred are ones put on the employer to participate in the program, as best I understand things.
Thank you.
And I'm sure if we were to get into this, I'll start to understand it a whole lot better down the line, but that's how it goes someday.
Well, no, I appreciate the explanation. As someone who's tried to fund my own retirement, that can be a significant cost. you know, your money's supposed to be working for you and it helps a plan manager more than you. I like this as it's presented, I really do, and I'm like you, Teresa, I don't know what the whole benefit for our employees is gonna be like, but I just wanna go on record as saying, I'm all for helping our employees as much as we possibly can, especially given the current climate we're in, where it is hard to get employees, it is hard to keep employees. And life ain't cheap, so if we can give you guys the perk, I'm for doing it, so.
So before we get to hearing the motion, does somebody want to articulate a draft motion verbally? Teresa?
Public comment.
Pardon me?
I'm not taking motion yet. I want to just suggest as further discussion to hear a verbal draft motion.
My draft motion would be that we adopt resolution 2023-03, which provides for Office of Engineer participation in the state of Montana Deferred Compensation Plan, with the understanding that the maximum contribution to any employee is a maximum of 6%. That's what I heard, Roger. Is that,
As a matter of,
and if that is not allowable, we will take this matter up again at the next meeting on April 25th.
that's the draft.
The only problem I see with that is April 25th is a working session, it's not a real meeting.
If we,
Not a.
Oh, I'm with you. I
Yeah,
see, yeah.
yeah, if we did, yeah, it is. So my comment is going to be, if we do that, we would have to make it a meeting.
Okay, then we would take the matter back up on May 4th.
No, the only caveat there is whether or not this thing can kick in then, because then the board, their board doesn't meet until in June.
I would believe, I have to believe that their board will be taking a positive action with our request to join. We have to believe that. Which would then allow for the May 1st participation for our employees. I just don't know if the program allows an employer to set a ceiling for contribution.
So if we say we prefer 6%, but it's not allowed, then at that point we would accept the 8%. We would do that now. And that would be the only other way to do it. If we're doing it now.
While we're in discussion,
Can I propose something? I
please,
want to take 5. Hit pause, come back in discussion, and then since that board did meet, maybe Ethan, you can reach out and find out where they're at with it while we're on break. And maybe even pose that question to them about the 6% and see if it's something that we can. I don't know if we can, but at least we can get a little more information. Is that all right? All right,
Do that, Mr. Chairman.
all right, board ready for a break and then do that?
Yes.
Okay, so we will take a 15-minute break. We'll come back and we will continue this discussion, maybe hopefully with a little more information. All right, thank you.
good suggestion.
Back. We are wanting to reconvene and continue our discussion here. And hopefully complete our discussion about the retirement package here. And I was hoping to get a little more information that might inform us, so Ethan, were you able to give me additional information?
Mr. Chairman, board members, I was able to get all of the information that you were looking for, and I can tell you a couple of things. One, we can modify the employer percentage contribution, and so you can decide what that's gonna be, and you can change what that's gonna be. Two, the vesting period is an optional for the employer also. Currently, we didn't anticipate any vesting period, but if that's something that you wanted to impose, you can. For the nice thing about going through the 457 is that the employer doesn't have to worry about any unfunded liabilities like you would for a defined benefit arrangement. And five, yeah, we would have to go back and change things contractually and, they did pass it. You've been invited as employers to participate in the state of Montana PERS system for deferred compensation, which is a 457B account that is managed through Empower. And the account, almost all of their account investment options are passive ones right now. They are thinking about adding some active accounts to their lineup, but presently this is a more just like large, small, medium capital funds and things that you expect. And yes, if the board was to pass on this resolution today and not get it sorted out by May 1st, we might have to go back and redo paperwork with the state PERS board that made an enactment based on a May 1 contract date.
All right, hearing all of that comments by board members, it sounds like you can, if you choose, approve this and accept it with a 6% maximum, if that's what you want. So, board member. And we've been approved by the PERS.
Well, I guess I'll throw out another motion for discussion. So I would couch a motion to the similar to what how Teresa referenced her motion, that we approve or authorize the entering into the 457B with a maximum 6% match. And I think there should be some kind of vesting period on any of these things, and I've heard everything from 5 to 10 years. So it seems like maybe we go with 5 years or 6 years, something to that extent. So.
Okay, discussion. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. All right. Hearing a lot of, yeah. You want to make that, turn that into an official motion?
Okay.
Oh, public comment, goodness gracious. So. Yeah, that's right. So with that, we've discussed this and have additional information and have a proposed motion here. No final motion or action taken, but that's looks like the direction that the board would want to go. So any public comment on this at this time? So we'll open it for public comment. Anybody from the audience or anybody online?
If anyone online would like to make a public comment, you can raise your hand and I'll allow you to speak. I'm seeing no public comment.
I want to comment, even though I'm not part of the public necessarily.
Ethan, go ahead.
Appreciate it. Just trying to get my stuff organized here. Mr. Chairman, board members, thank you. I would encourage the board members to reduce the investment period from 5 to 3 years. I'm nervous that a 5-year investment period, which would really potentially limit some of our hiring. That will make people, I believe, apprehensive. I actually prefer an immediate investment because it is it's a match arrangement. There's not a long-term benefit beyond, it is akin to compensation. And so why would I get that you want to try to retain some people for a little bit longer on vesting option, but I do know that currently the trend for large investment periods is typically a little more limited. I'm looking at recruiting some additional people. I am planning to be around for 5 years unless you kick me out, but so in this particular topic, it's not really a personal interest as much as it is for management level. Maybe the board might consider a compromise.
Okay, thanks for your comment. Any other comments?
I got one question, Ethan, then. So usually a vesting schedule goes, for instance, 1 year, 20%, 2 years, 40%, up at 5 years, it's 100%.
Yeah.
Is that what you found out, or is that what the schedule would be with? And the reason they do that too is so that it gives the employee the impetus to stick around.
What I found was that it's at the end of the vesting period, you get 100% of the match.
Right.
You get 100% of what you put in regardless from day one forward. And then at the end of the investment period, the match that was put in on your behalf by your employer becomes available. I'm not very familiar with the rated arrangement. Doesn't mean it's not happening. Speaking of my own personal familiarity.
Let me close the public comment section of this, and so we can continue our dialogue with you. So we'll close public comments. I am familiar with the idea that vesting has been graduated in other cases, so that would be an option to do stepwise investment, and then after whatever full-term period, then it's 100%. So that certainly is an option. We'd want to spell that out. Comments? Discussion?
Guess I'll move forward with a motion then.
Let's hear
Before I make a motion, do I have one final editorial comment to the resolution? So part of my motion is going to be that we adopt the resolution. FRWMB 2023-03 for the MPERA 457B retirement program. On page 10, that we include the revised comments by the board's attorney. I have one other change again that's on the top of the second page. That first sentence that says the Montana Deferred Compensation Plans Administrator may allocate any necessary costs. I would scratch any necessary and put in administrative costs.
Are you on the resolution now?
Yeah, I'm on the resolution. We have a different copy.
Apparently I have a different copy.
Maybe.
This is what I have that's redlined.
Yeah, mine are blue line. Oh, right here.
So scratching the N necessary.
Yeah. Just inserting administrative.
Insert administrative.
Yeah.
Did are you with that, Ethan? Okay.
So then I'm gonna, the motion will also be to move forward with authorization of the plan with a 6% maximum match with a graduated vesting schedule for up to 5 years maximum vesting period. And I guess I want to go on record as stating that I'm making this motion because, one, I want to be consistent with other governmental entities and consistent with the private sector, so that would not be a detriment to recruitment. And the other reason is so that we do not have to make any adjustments when it comes to, or any cost savings when it comes to establishing healthcare and time off, days time off.
Yeah, thank you for that, Roger. So let's focus on the motion itself. So I have approved the resolution and the adoption agreement with all the changes that were on the page and recommended to include a 6% max match. And your vesting is graduated, but I think if we're 5 years at 100%, how do you want to graduate it?
I think that's up to the.
I'm gonna leave that up to the staff and.
Staff can negotiate it within power. Or whatever the standard vesting schedule is.
So, to be negotiated between the staff and the power.
Right.
Okay,
And the plan administrator.
so,
And then that would be described in our personnel policy.
okay, let's,
I don't know Robert's rules of order, Mr. Chair.
yeah,
Sorry.
I think we're not, I'm gonna ask for clarification of this motion so that we can take clear action. So what's your question?
I just had a comment on this motion as presented, and I don't know if I can present or if I can discuss it,
Open for discussion.
Okay. I just wanted to share with the other board members something I was made aware of last night that kind of speaks to Ethan's point. I sat in a meeting last night at SKC where we're looking at students graduating, what it's like for them getting jobs right now. And a lot of our students are getting up to 8 different offers from employment prior to graduation, and they're competitive. And there's just a real shortage of workers. And so, you know, in terms of real estate, it's if you think about buyers markets or whatever, people looking for jobs can pick and choose. And so I just want to be, as we're proceeding with this, if Ethan is trying to hire staff, we do need to be sensitive to the fact that he's going to be trying to get employees that are probably getting multiple offers. and they can be competitive offers. And is this the most competitive we can provide?
Okay,
I don't know that it is, I just want everybody.
okay, we'll have more discussion here, so let's clarify this motion. We'll take a second and then we'll finalize any discussion on that. So we have a motion by Roger to approve the resolution and the adoption agreement with the recommended changes. That the motion includes 6% max matching as discussed. And that the vesting be graduated, the periods to be negotiated between staff and power for a 5-year, 100% invested period. Is that correct, Robert?
Correct.
Okay, that's the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Teresa. Okay, any comments now from the board? Any further discussion? Okay. Take a voice vote, Ken? Aye. Roger?
Yes.
Georgia?
Can it pass if I don't agree?
It's either you're agreeing, it's either yes or no for you right now.
I guess yes with reservation.
You have a yes vote, Teresa?
Yes.
Okay. I'm a yes. Approved. Okay. Thank you for all your hard work on that. All of you, Ethan, thank you for all putting this together and making it, getting that information for us. All right, number 8, Stockwater Form Part B, James Rex.
Board members, next up for your consideration is Form 60 SA Part B. This is stock water allowance notice of completion. In March, you approved the first part of this form, which is the Part A. There's approval to construct a stock water allowance. And this is the second half of that process. Applicants will have to gain approval, construct the development, put the water to use, and then after that point, they would file this form, and that would allow them to receive a water for that use. This should be rather familiar. Lots of things were copied and pasted from Form A to Form B with a few small changes. I can walk you through those if you like. I do see one small typo here in the box on the left. You'll see the filing fee is still listed at $125. That's the original filing fee for Part A. There will be no filing fee, and I'll change that to say $0. One of the other differences is number 1, water right number. That will obviously not be on Part A. It will be listed here on Part B, because at that time, upon completion of Part A, they should get a water right number. One of the more substantive changes is item number 4. They must provide a well log if they're constructing a stockwater well, and they also must show the dates that water was put to use. Another important thing to note on this form is number 7. These new details from the well log, like casing size, static water level, well depth. Those will, some of those will appear on the water right, and they have to list those specifications out in Form B. And then finally, on item number 10, you'll see that, again, we asked for a map. The difference between this map and the first map is that this one must be finalized and drawn to scale and shown as built. So no proposed developments or anything like that. Everything has to be finalized and as built.
Thank you, James. Comments?
I just have one small typo.
Georgia?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just at the top where it says you must file this form within 120 days.
Yes, thank you.
Just remind me, this went out to public.
Form A was approved and that has gone out to public. This is the first time you're seeing Form B.
Okay. Not that it has to, I was just wondering, I know we were putting some forms out for public comment before we approved them. Did this go out?
Yes, it did. Yes,
Okay.
it was for 1 year on the public.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, if you're ready to approve, we should take a motion. I would take a motion to approve with the changes that were just discussed.
Chairman, I'll move to approve Form 60 SA Part B with the changes we discussed.
Motion by Ken, second by Teresa. And before we normally take a comment, do I need public comment here?
Yes.
Public comment, all right, we'll pause there and take public comment.
If anyone online would like to make a public comment, you could raise your hand, I'd like to speak.
We have a motion and a second, any public comment?
You see no public comment online.
Anybody in house, okay. No public comment, we have a motion and a second, so all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Unanimous, thank you. Okay. I'm getting a little better. Number 9, geothermal form part B, Mr. Franks again.
Okay, board members, again, very similar to the last item on the agenda. This is the 646F Part B notice of completion of a geothermal heating and cooling exchange well. You've deliberated over Part A, and that was approved in March as well. Just like the stock water form, this is a notice of completion, so they have to gain approval from Part A, and this is filed after the development has been constructed and put to use. I'll walk you through some of the differences between Form A and Form B. On item number 2, you'll see the project construction. That says, please provide the following and attach your well log. So they'll need to attach the well log from their well driller, whoever develops this, and the date that it was constructed. Item number 6 is new. They'll need to provide details about their pump and flow rate. They'll need to be specific on the details in items 7 and 8, distance from extraction wellhead to injection wellhead, and distance from the extraction wellhead to the nearest existing well and hydraulically connected surface well. Again, a map is required as built. And item 11 is a schematic that we require that they show isolation of the system.
Question?
Comment.
Yeah. So on the stock water, you had a water rate number on your notice of completion here, you do not have a water rate. So reason for that.
No, we can add that to the list.
Well, I wasn't suggesting yet, I was just curious why it didn't have one.
Sorry, doesn't it say water rate number on the front? Or am I reading the wrong one?
That's in the office of the engineer use only box.
Oh, okay.
So I guess I'll make a suggestion.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So how are they gonna know what their water right number is when they're filing this thing?
So the way that this hopefully eventually will get is, once we receive part A, we will immediately enter that into what we call a load sheet. And those load sheets have water right numbers on them. And when we give them a authorization to construct, we will inform them of their water right number at that time. And so in the future, they should have a water right number at the point of approval, part A.
Thank you.
Other comments? Okay. Public comment.
If anyone online would like to make a public comment, raise your hand, allow you to speak. See no public comment online.
In-house. All right. No further public comment, so if you're ready, we'll take a motion to approve with the changes and corrections that we discussed.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve Form 646F Part B with the additions as discussed, adding the water right number.
Motion by Teresa,
I'll second the motion.
second by Roger, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Ethan, number 10, logo. Do we not have a logo yet?
Mr. Chairman, board members, first of all, James, great. It's work, thank you.
James?
All right, Mr. Chairman, board members, I have put this item here as we continue to struggle on the issue of the logo. In recap, and a little bit of the catalyst to urge me to get it on here. I have our website designer, it's like, where's the logo? I got the rest of the stuff designed, where's that at? I got the 6 pony hitch business manager. Hey, I want to build this out. Apparently we're already into them for the contract you signed was, I believe, $3,600 to get you the original designs, and then that in addition to the legal fees for the contracts, also the ownership issues and such, and indemnification. Got a little bit more there, so we've got a fair amount of money into it. We've got some different designs. Today, I'm gonna reintroduce you to the designs where they were at. Take some solicitation. I'm gonna give you some other options, because maybe you didn't like those. Do something else. That'd be fine. I can go either way. But if you will, would you mind sharing your screen, sharing your screen, Mr. Frakes? And the logo stuff I gave you has numbers there at the front, so hopefully you could just load those up one at a time, and we can have a recap.
This one first, right here.
Yes, the one, yep, number 1 there. Let's do that one first. Okay, so this was something that should look a little familiar. This is the thing that you've already paid for. There's a water droplet that has what, some people think looks like the Amazon smile, but it looks like a piece of a plant. You've got that. I don't know. I don't know if it looks too familiar to other things, but that's something that you've got. Looks like you got it in black and white and different fonts there. Okay, and that was the simple design. And now, Mr. Frakes, if you would please go to number 2. Number two, this is originates from the artist's the TP arrangement. We've got a barn added here in the background. You know, we got that in colors and different so forth. Now both of these, you've got part contracts on to provide this, and then your contract is supposed to include at least one round of changes based on concrete feedback, as the as the graphic designer put it to me. Presently, I do not have from the board concrete feedback. So that's on the topic today. Now, I know a lot of people were a little like wishy-washy on a few things. Now I did get Mr. Pitt did say the fonts needed to be the same for things. I mean, I could go back and double check. I did get a few pieces of concrete feedback, so I didn't want to overlook it. Nobody did chime in. We just don't. I don't have enough to go back to the contractors. That's my long way of saying that. Let's see. We grabbed a couple other items. Number 3 in your email there. This is
This one.
yep, that one right there. This is me just trying to offer you an out. Hey, you do something, you know, like real basic. Picture the reservation with your name on it. If you wanted to go some route like that, I don't know why it's crooked. It didn't used to be. But in regular life, it looks more straight than that. Let's go to number. We're at 4. There's a whole bunch of attachments here. No, that's not it. Scroll down some more.
This one, maybe?
No, that's not it.
Yeah.
There you go. In-house, there was some enthusiasm. Maybe we used something off of the mountain on the Jocko, and you know, there's plenty of ways we could shoot off of that. You know, if these other ones don't work out, I also think we've got a preliminary design that one of the staff came up with. It's got a bitter root on it. I don't have that one with me here today, but you know, if you wanted to go that route, we can do all sorts of things. I am all ears today. I am also willing to have this board just tell me to go figure it out. That will be an action though. And if that's the action, I will accept that. I will come up with something and we will have a logo. But I am inviting you to participate as much or as little as you would like, board members. But we do need to, if I have to have a special meeting on the logo.
Board members, that's your presentation. So I'll jump in and just simply say that one of the, after looking at the early designs we had, it was my impression and mine only to offer something. And so the reservation outline with and leaning toward the logo without the words, just the WMB across it. That being the logo indicating that it's the Reservation Water Management Board was where I thought I was, but I'm willing to go along with whatever the board wants to do here, because we've been at this a while. We need to get to a logo that is useful.
It's kind of an Occam's razor situation. I think we go with simplicity, neutral simplicity. So I really like what we put together.
Do I get a reward for it? No.
We'll let you share this.
I do. Okay.
The gift certificates coming down.
Okay. That was, anyway, that's one comment. Any other comments?
Question?
Yes.
On the reservation one, how would that fit with the wording in like business card? It seems like it's almost too big for scaling. scaling down, scaling up,
I don't-
we use it in different contexts.
So it's, what was shown there had all the words. What I originally provided was just the outline of the reservation with the letters W and B.
And Mr.
But
Chairman, we're not
whatever
sure
works.
we ever received that, but that
Okay.
sounds very similar to what I threw up there and scaling it down. The acronym would obviously be that solution, and then instead of the outline of the reservation, it could just be the colored polygon of the shape of reservation with either WMB or FRWMB. Either one would certainly suffice.
I think if you reuse something similar to Clayton's idea, but then as a footer, spell out flathead reservation water management board. It would work.
Does WMB mean something? Weapons of mass, I don't know. I just, you know, when you think about
No,
acronyms, I don't-
WMD.
I don't know. Say, everything means something. I don't know.
I like this one, but I think it'd be very, very hard to reproduce when you shrink it down.
Yeah, sure. Mr. Chairman, board members, I produced that in 7 minutes this morning. So please be aware, I hadn't put a ton of time in there. We could get something drummed up if you really just wanted to like explore that. We could this reservation outline with WMB and then the words written out is something very achievable. I can, we can make those things happen. We can give you, I could probably even get both those things sorted in here, and you have a couple of, I can even pass it around one last time in an email chain. Anything,
Roger.
Go back to the one with the mountain and the river and the TV and the barn. So the problem with that one was all the complexities of the details in there. What if we just got with the simple mountain and the river coming out and got rid of the TV and the barn? And went with something like that.
That's kind of nice because it does away with the perceptions that we have tribal folks on one side of the river, non-tribal folks on the other side of the river.
Okay.
You can put Flathead Reservation on the top and Water Management Board underneath. No, I'm just going on the fly here.
It's good. It's good.
I like that. Suggestion.
Yeah,
Mhm.
why don't we take a look at it?
Okay,
See what that looks like.
happy to perform that to the board.
Just see what that looks like and if we can, so we don't need action today if we do again, right?
Well, that is a bit of an action. You're telling me to, to do that, I'm gonna need to go back to the contractor, which means I will spend some more of the board's dollars. You have 2 phases realized in that contract.
Well, that's
although
concrete input, get rid of the TV in the barn,
that's concrete, yep.
and then we'll see what that looks like, so. Does the board want to take action on that today? Let's do that, all right, public comments. Anybody want to take action, any public comments? Okay. Any public comments?
Oh, public comments online. If you'd like to make a comment, raise your hand and I'll live speak. Seeing no public comment.
And seeing none internally here, so. All right, take a motion. If that's what you wish. Roger?
I guess I make a motion to have the contractor revise that one to remove the TV in the barn and give us a couple renditions of that.
Okay, motion by Roger,
Second.
Second by Teresa, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, moving on, thank you. Water engineer report, Mr. Mace.
Chair and board members, with your permission, I'll hand out got a little handout.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, board members, this is just an update of activity that we've seen in the ops. We have really nothing more than numbers here about application types received. In total, we have received 312 individual or shared domestic allowance applications. 19 of those were up from March. Received 31 Part Bs, and that's up 7. And got some redundant wells and some issued water rights. We have a request for 10. We've am I reading that right? We've issued 3 of them. 3. Oh no, that's the 3 up. Okay.
Increase.
We did. Yep. Can't read my own phone here. So we've issued 10, 3 up this week. They are a little tedious to issue the way we're doing it right now, but generally this is the kind of thing that the board likes to see at your regular meeting.
Questions for the board? Oh, that one, what's expired?
Expired means you applied and you got a letter of defect or something to that effect, and then you did not respond. That correct on expired? Yes, excellent.
And terminated.
Terminated is when we take the expired ones and we say this is no longer viable. It's a final decision from the engineer to mean that the applicant, if they want to rejuvenate their effort for that particular water use, they'll have to file a new
Yeah,
application.
start over.
Yep.
Anything else? Board member? Is this, I mean, thank you for this, appreciate this. Is this a good forum for folks?
This is good. Thank you. I think it's amazing how much you guys have gotten accomplished. So, well done.
It also demonstrates how busy you are. Not that you have to, but it's, I know that you're busy. I know the staff is, on a daily basis doing this, so much appreciated. So,
It's true. I don't only run around on the days that you're here. Anyway, Chairman, board members, other updates we've got, let's see, I'm not sure if you all saw this the last time, but we've got a new security cam up the front door. And so we're in the process of increasing our security system here. That will help us quite a bit, I believe, just keeping things on the up and up. Additionally, you might have noticed it was easier to get inside the door today.
Yes.
And we have Harry Mueller was nice enough to go get us a doorknob, and I somehow managed to install it. We have new desks that we're in the process of putting together. That's what these boxes are. And so Mr. Frank's got his up and running. We are going to be in the process of offloading some of these more dated pieces of furniture. And we've started with step 1 to ask if the tribes want them back at surplus. Step 2 will be probably a Facebook marketplace post. And step 3 is whatever we can figure out on step 3. So if anybody's needing a desk for their garage or something, let me know.
There's some kind of Olson website that
That's Facebook Marketplace. Yep, that,
Bigfoot, okay.
we will have good luck. Maybe if anybody's gonna take it, we'll find them there. But we want to make sure the tribes don't want them back first.
Yeah,
Today you have a different seating arrangement. How's this? You have 3 tables, 2 at each table. It's working out?
yeah, I like sitting at that end, but that's all right.
Okay,
We're good.
you guys can vie over that, but, all right, and, we'll still change something similar for our work sessions. Look at these drapes.
Beautiful.
Carrie and James put these in, yesterday, I got the rest of these up. Moved this one as was recommended up a little higher. I can tell that I can't hear.
It's less echo today.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
It's
less
real.
echo. It's nice.
It's a very effective treatment there, so. Now, a moment, this is a moment where I have to wag my finger about website bios. Here's what we've got today. I've got a need to ask if Shane, if you have a higher resolution photo, we can use yours, but it's a little blurry. Ken, your photo is not usable. When we try to use it, it pixelates and you would be unhappy with it. And we also do need you to parse your BIOS down to something short. None of us felt comfortable to do that. So we need you to help us with that. Roger?
It's amazing what you struggle with, isn't it?
Yeah. Roger, you got Teresa. So we'll take a moment, George, please. You've done wonderful. Shane, you got close. You got close. You get a participation prize for sure. All right,
And that's all for the website.
yes, it is, and feel free. I know I'm still lagging a little bit. So the things we struggle with. All right. Now, just a quick moment on, business wise, what we're gonna be working on next. Now, at the last meeting, we talked about development, domestic allowances, and I've met with several people, developers and tribes and state and board members. We talked about it and we've come up with some new ideas. We didn't quite have a chance to get those drafted up for this meeting, but we are going to be drafting up an update to the water standards report that will include some of these updates. We have had an ask that we provide something else formal for people to respond to. And, I'm front and center on getting ready to do that. And we'll have that distribution happen well in advance of your next meeting, so that hopefully you'd have both what went out the door. And I hope to solicit feedback that we could usher in for discussion at that time. Well, it's also April and we are starting to receive complaints. And we do have a preliminary draft complaint form. I am going to need board members to eventually take action on that. You can expect me to give you bullets of questions, and I need you to individually respond to me about that. Will include questions about how to handle complaints, such as, do you want me to charge a fee for filing them? Such as, this is going to walk us into enforcement issues and quickly, and how you want this office to look at enforcement of your rules and regulations. It will probably require a work session to discuss these pertinent issues, but they are already rolling in regardless of our readiness.
Question.
Sure.
You're calling them complaints. Are they complaints or objections?
They are complaints. It has nothing to do with the water rights compact moving through the water court. This is people telling us that there are folks illegally using water or not honoring call. Sorry for my stumble. Honoring call would mean a senior water user makes a call against a junior water user. And there will need to apply some criteria to how we handle complaints. and what we expect the water user to do in advance of contacting our office. So that we can either tell them to go do that or know that they have done that. And we will need a form, and you will need to find something that you can unanimously agree to, like all our other forms. And I will provide drafts and ideas, but just start, this is your warm up to start thinking about it. And our office is going to start to bombard you with questions on how you'd like to see us administer that aspect of water management. And I missed something, Mr. Frakes? Nope, okay. I already did mention that we've got like a draft website and that we will be running internal update to what we've got so far, and you'll see that by May at the latest. So a lot of your staff has done a bunch of excellent work here. Even though you see me talking to you, you should know that a lot of this stuff is not done by me. And we do delegate, accept delegation around here. And as usual, I like to acknowledge that that's going on. And with that, I think I can, unless the board has additional questions.
Thank you. Questions, comments, board members? Thank you for all your work as well. Much appreciated. So, right, thank you. I don't see public comment on that one. Board member updates. Anything from board members? All right. Final public comment. Any public comment from anybody in the audience? Public comment is open. Anybody online?
Like to make a comment, raise your hand while I talk. No public comment online.
Okay, then public comment. Thank you very much. Next meetings, we've already discussed. We're looking at April 25, May 4, May 11. As we're looking at them right now, so that's where we're at. Yes. I will be asked to make it. Okay. Thank you. Any other comments on board meetings? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much. Good job, guys. Good job.
Well, I gotta do it.